what is working really is this whiteboard feature. I am loving this whiteboard feature. It's almost better than the live teaching.
Wow.
Let me tell you what, because in Arabic, we've got so many dots, and, this dot is part of the letter, but this is an accent that goes on it, and everything's so variable. So when you do it in a live classroom, you're going to have 10 Sharpies in your hand. The red for the word, the green to put the case ending, the yellow to underline the subject, as opposed to the direct object or whatever. And so with Zoom, it is so easy to turn on your whiteboard, and I'm lucky that I have a touch screen, but I've also learned to master it through my mouse. And so it's just to change colors very quickly as you're writing. No Sharpies to look for. You don't go to a classroom and go, oops, there's no pens, let me go down the hall. So it's becoming really, really easy to write that. The kids are following along. You erase very quickly. I didn't realize whiteboard was really better than a real board. And it takes less muscles, I guess, to erase with that. So and the kids are loving it. So we're creating these colorful panels, whether I'm typing in Arabic, whatever. Changing the color really helps in Arabic for the word to stand out, then the addition to stand out. Whereas when it was old-fashioned board teaching, it was like I would write the word, put the pen down, put the other one, put the other one down, it would take from their time. And so we took it up to the final, to one notch, finally, where now they are sharing their own whiteboard, so you have to enable, of course, to allow all participants to share their whiteboards in the beginning. And so instead of me, initially I was writing and they would follow and I was showing them how. Now it's like, okay, sentence 2, take a moment, write it, and let's call on this person who maybe, in Alabama, wherever, share your board. So now they're sharing what they've written, and we go through it, and we're all able to see their page, which in a physical classroom, you would, they're seeing it, they're reading it, or they're going to have to go to the board to write it. It enables me to have eyes on every single homework in front of them. And I think in a classroom that would be impossible.
Absolutely.
So that's a real advantage. And then, or they can tell me, in this sentence, I'm not sure about one thing. I said, well, share your board. And so if they share it and I can see, and instead of just answering, I'll say, okay, everybody, look at his or her shared board. Where do you see the error? Or can you answer him? And so it enables you to have, sort of everyone's homework at right in front of your eyes. And I'm loving that feature, especially for Arabic. It also keeps them ready because they know at any time they might be writing their sentence on a piece of paper, but when they're called on to share their whiteboard, they're going to have to rewrite it. I don't mind if they're looking at what they wrote, but it's also such a great chance to, as they're typing, to go, oh, wow, I never noticed this pattern where they're mixing the long vowels with the short ones, because you can't be over each kid in a classroom checking every sentence. So, so the whiteboard feature has been fantastic, switching between whiteboard and screen sharing and then getting an online copy of the textbook. It's actually keeping them entertained. It's keeping their attention. And the first week, I'm sure with most instructors, we had to struggle with how do I go from sharing the whiteboard to sharing the screen to letting a kid share their own screen to, sharing a YouTube video. But it's now become like it's all at your fingertips. And in class, it used to be I had to take my laptop, come into class early, hook it up through the HDMI, make sure the board is clear, the colors are here, but it's all within arm's reach. So, I mean, I didn't expect to actually enjoy it. It's like a production now.
That is so great to hear.
And they get involved, and they do the colors and the calligraphy, and, so within Arabic, alhamdulillah, thank goodness it worked out. There's nothing like, especially first year, nothing replaces the the mundane act of writing the letter. And are they right? And you can see on the whiteboard when they're writing, when they hand in homework, you don't know if they wrote the letter A, which in Arabic is like this. You don't know if they're writing it from up to down or down to up. You just see the result. But when you ask them to write it on a whiteboard, you're seeing it, and you go, oh wow, I never realized, because I've never seen you in the act of writing so much, that all this time you've been starting here and going up when you should have been going up and going down.
Exactly.
And so the fact that they're sharing their whiteboard as they're writing, you go, at the end, I go, and by the way, I noticed something about you. You put the dot before you put the shape. You should always put the shape, then the dot. But that's not something I would have known if it wasn't for him sharing the board and in lifetime writing or typing. And so with the kids, most of them don't have a touch screen. So we are, we are using the typing feature more. Now with second year, I'm not worried, because if you get to second year Arabic, you better know your letters.
Exactly.
And at least have legible handwriting. And so for them, we're doing the typing quickly. They're typing, and then we can delete and whatever. I'm happy with the Canvas setup. Of course, we were using Canvas for quizzes and other things, but a lot of it was paper before. It was paper homework. That transition, it's very rewarding once the quiz is done and it includes multiple choice, and it's nice that Canvas can grade half of the quiz for you, like the multiple choice automatically. You just go in and do the manual, text entry parts or whatever. But it is so much work to set them up. I mean, what looks to them like a nice 20-question quiz, and all I have to do is put true or false or fill in a blank, has taken us instructors a long time. And there were glitches at first, especially like if you had an exercise or like a quiz question with multiple blanks to fill in the same one. That's a lot harder than just one blank, for example, right? So you could keep taking up a notch. And with Arabic, unfortunately, because we've got the case endings, a word like, I don't know, you might know the word Quran, which means the Quran, but you could write Quran and everyone would know how to pronounce it. But if you're beginning Arabic, we would have to put the small little case endings to guide you till you're familiar with the word enough that you don't need them. So when you're typing in Arabic, you could either type the letters, which is how most Arabic speakers end up doing. We recognize the word, or you can type a letter, shift, put the case ending, then type the next letter, shift, and put the case ending. That's how you start. So when you do a multiple choice or fill in the blank, Canvas isn't going to understand that whether you do that little squiggly thing on the first letter or not. Those are both acceptable responses, but each letter could or could not have that. So when I do the possible answers, because Canvas isn't going to understand that, that was correct, he just didn't, or they didn't just put the case ending. You've got to put about 6 different ways of typing that word. And it's not that we're typing synonyms or other, it's the same word, same spelling, only once with every case ending, once with 4 out of 5, one with 3, and one with none. And technically, all of them are correct. So that took a very long time. And I think that, thank God, in English, if the choice is book, there's only one way to spell book. So you don't have to worry. You might want to put a synonym in case it was another possible answer. But in terms of the spelling, no, here we're talking about, about 15 possibilities per word. So that has been challenging and time consuming, but once it's there, I guess now forever we'll have this. And we'll use it in future years, and we'll switch those questions around. This idea of sharing quizzes together across Canvas sites, because we are the same section, but we're not necessarily at the same exact point, or maybe one of us is concentrating more on something than the other section, so you want to make sure your quiz is reflecting that, although it has the same skeleton and form as everybody else. So this thing about being able to go in and import once the each of us has added the other, and the instructors, as TAs in the course, or as, giving them access. It's been so easy to go in and borrow from my colleagues, because initially we were thinking, are we going to have to copy paste each one in here? And no, I don't know how many instructors out there who are listening know this, but as long as the other instructor has given you permission, you could go in through Canvas and import elements from another course, including one of your own from the past, which initially we do when we set up the Canvas site. But in addition, once it's set up and it's going, we could go and borrow like a quiz from there or assignments from others. And so there's this constant sharing. So when I'm doing a lot of work to create a quiz, which includes multiple choice, etc., and might have taken me hours to get that, all my colleagues need to do is come in and borrow it, and it's done, and it's in that format, and it takes 2 seconds. And then, of course, I go and I borrow from them, and and we share that. And I think forcing us, this whole situation, forcing us to rely solely on electronic ways of testing has increased the quality of the quizzes we're doing.
Oh, that's great.
And the kids love it, because, what they see is like a game. Oh, multiple choice. Oh, now I'm going to do it. Now I'm going to match column A with column B. So, from their perspective, it's fun, and it's, click, click, click. But it takes a lot of work.